The city's most luxurious restaurant buzzed with chatter and laughter that night, filled with glittering lights and well-dressed guests eager to impress. But at the corner table, by the frosted window, sat a man no one paid attention to. His clothes were plain, his posture humble, and his presence unremarkable to those who judged by appearances. Waiters passed by him without so much as a glance, assuming he was just another tourist on a budget. Yet if anyone had looked closely, they might have noticed the quiet authority in his eyes, the subtle refinement in his movements. His name was Satoshi Takeda, a Japanese billionaire visiting the city under the radar, tired of people who only smiled when they saw his fortune. Tonight he wanted anonymity, though the world was about to teach him that genuine respect could still exist. A young waitress named Mia noticed him after finishing her 10th table of the night. She was new, overworked, and barely making rent, but something about the man's loneliness tugged at her. While others laughed over wine and steak, he simply stirred his tea, eyes distant. When she approached, she bowed slightly, out of instinct more than habit, and asked softly, "Konbanwa, o genki desu ka?" The man's head lifted instantly, surprise flickering in his eyes. For the first time that evening, someone had spoken to him not as a customer, not as a stranger, but as a human being who shared his language. His lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "You speak Japanese?" he asked in his gentle accent. "Just a little," Mia admitted, smiling nervously. "My grandmother taught me. She lived in Kyoto. That single exchange changed everything." Satoshi asked her name, and instead of the polite small talk she expected, he listened, really listened, as she told him about her double shifts, her dreams of studying abroad, her struggle to keep her younger brother in school. He found her honesty refreshing in a world where everyone wanted something from him. She didn't know she was speaking to one of the wealthiest tech magnates in Asia. She was just being kind. As the evening deepened, Satoshi requested that only she serve him. He even asked for a traditional Japanese tea preparation, and though Mia fumbled, her effort made him laugh softly for the first time in months. The other staff began to whisper. Why was the quiet man suddenly getting so much attention? The restaurant manager frowned. Mia was wasting time on a low-spending customer. He approached rudely, telling her to prioritize real clients. Satoshi's expression hardened, but before he could speak, Mia bowed and apologized in Japanese. "Sumimasen. Please don't mind him." That moment broke something inside the billionaire. He saw the humility, the grace, the respect that he thought modern society had forgotten. When the bill arrived, he left a simple note instead of money. "Thank you for your kindness. You've reminded me what real respect feels like." He signed it with his name. Just his name. The next morning, the restaurant was in chaos. News outlets swarmed the entrance after Satoshi Takeda's assistant revealed he had been dining there the previous night. The staff panicked, realizing they had ignored a billionaire who could have changed their lives. The manager turned pale, remembering how dismissively he'd treated him. But when Satoshi returned later that afternoon, he walked past everyone without a glance, until he saw Mia standing nervously by the counter. "You're the only one who saw me," he said softly. "Would you join me for tea today?" She stammered, thinking he was joking, but his eyes held nothing but sincerity. Over the next few weeks, their friendship grew in the most unexpected way. Satoshi invited her to help him translate a community project for Japanese investment in local education. What began as a few meetings turned into a mentorship. He guided her, helped her apply for scholarships, and soon she found herself studying in Tokyo, her lifelong dream realized. Whenever she visited him, she'd bring homemade cookies, laughing about how surreal it all felt. "All I did was say hello in Japanese," she'd tease. Satoshi would smile and reply, "Sometimes, a single word spoken with heart can change an entire life." By the time she graduated, she had become not only fluent in Japanese, but also deeply connected to the culture she once only knew through her grandmother. On her graduation day, Satoshi attended quietly, clapping from the back row. When she found him afterward, she hugged him and said, "You never told me who you were that night." He smiled gently. "If I had, would you have spoken to me the same way?" She shook her head, laughing through tears. "Probably not. I'd have been too nervous." Years later, Mia became an international consultant, bridging Japanese companies with Western startups. She carried Satoshi's lessons in every meeting, about humility, kindness, and seeing beyond appearances. And though the world never knew the full story behind her success, she always credited it to a quiet man she once greeted in Japanese at a crowded restaurant. And sometimes, when she returned home, she'd visit the same table where it all began. The restaurant had changed, new lights, new faces, but the corner seat remained untouched. She'd sip her tea and whisper, "Konbanwa, o genki desu ka?" as if greeting the moment that changed her destiny forever. Years passed, and Mia's life had blossomed beyond what she'd ever dared to dream. From the struggling waitress who once counted coins for the bus ride home, she had become a poised, confident woman admired in both the business and academic worlds. Her work connecting Japanese companies with local startups had earned her international recognition, and every time she stood on a stage to speak, she always thought of that quiet night when she'd greeted a stranger in Japanese. But as her success grew, so did the distance between her and Satoshi. He remained in Tokyo, running his empire from behind polished glass towers, while she lived between cities, caught in endless meetings, flights, and deadlines. Their messages grew shorter, the calls rarer. Yet whenever she saw a cup of green tea or heard a phrase in Japanese, her heart warmed with memory and a strange ache of longing she couldn't quite. And then, one winter morning, an elegant invitation arrived at her Tokyo apartment. It bore no company logo, no corporate seal. Only her name, written in brushstroke calligraphy she recognized instantly. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Mia, I would be honored if you joined me for tea." Satoshi. No date, no address, only a small red emblem she remembered from his business cards years ago. It was the logo of Takeda Innovations, his global headquarters in Roppongi Hills. She hadn't heard from him in over a year, but she didn't hesitate. That evening she stood at the glass doors of the skyscraper that bore his name, wearing the same simple necklace she'd worn the first night they Ames. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cedar and jasmine. A young assistant led her through quiet corridors to a private tea room.